Hello, it's me, Red. I know I sound a little bit different today, but my COVID test was negative, so there's no excuse. So here is some Tales from Retail. Let's get on with it. But I need formula for my baby. Are you sure? I've worked in a supermarket for 10 years. You get your share of Karens, and the only thing you can do is smile politely. But what I even hated more after an 8-hour shift and having to close up the supermarket were the customers who came in 5 to 10 minutes before closing and just do their shopping like no one wants to go home. There was a time that I was scheduled every Friday closing shift and pretty much every Saturday closing shift. The store closed at 8. We weren't open on Sundays then. Also, on Saturday we had to take out all the cash drawers and manually count all the money. We could start doing this when all the customers had left and the front and back doors were locked. So, customers coming in 5 to 10 minutes before closing time and taking their sweet, sweet time to shop were hated. Hated with a passion. My shop had a procedure. We would barricade our entrance and turn our front door to only opening when people wanted to leave the store at about 5 minutes before closing. We would remind customers at 1:45, 10:45, and 5:45 closing time that the store was going to close and please go and pay for their groceries. Normally we had very few incidents. This one, however, is burned in my memory. It was a Saturday. As head of the cashiers for that night, I had the honor to make or break the day of our beloved customers. I had to deal with my fair share of Karens, male and female, and I just wanted to go home. So, I followed the procedures, asked one of my fellow money handlers to set the front door and stay there to handle any customers. At 2 minutes before closing time, a man comes running to the door. My colleague asks what he needs and reminds him that the store is going to close and he won't have much time. He says he just needs formula. Since I was busy with a customer, she let him in. Guy gets a basket and goes into the shop. Since he said he needed formula, we thought he would be in and out like Roadrunner. Nope. No, because Formula Man didn't need formula. At 8:05, Formula Man is seen at the cheese section of our store. At 8:15, at our wine section. What the heck does he need that for? What kind of baby does he have? Several of my colleagues have gone to this man to get him to the counter. He scoffs, huffs, and says he's a paying customer. My fellow money handler was the last one to go to him, and that's when he went too far. He yelled at her, cussing at her, making a high school student cry. Now I'm pissed. So I do what I always do in these situations. I take off my store shirt, put on a neat jacket I keep in case of emergencies, and put it on. You see, when you have the store outfit on, you're often seen as a lesser being. But behold, I change my outfit and suddenly I look like management and my word is all powerful. The real manager sees this happening, pops out a huge grin and goes to the back to watch from the security cameras. So I don the magical outfit and go to Formula Man. I tell him in no uncertain terms that the store has been closed for 15 minutes and he has been asked multiple times to go and pay for his things. He starts to huff and puff himself up like the big bad wolf. I'm a 5'2" woman and people think they can intimidate me. I told him that he was only allowed entrance since he said he needed formula. So I gave him a choice. He could go now and pay for the things in his basket, or I would take the basket from him, grab the formula he claimed to need so much, and he could pay for that. He could choose not to do either, and in that case security would love to make his acquaintance. Either way, he would leave now. He tried, oh boy, he tried to threaten and intimidate me. He failed. He left with his cheese and wine, and many threats to call corporate. The next week he came again. This time he encounters me at the door. What did he need? Formula. So I brought him to our service desk, went inside and brought out a single pack of every kind of formula we had. Asked him which one he needed. He didn't say a word and left. Don't mess with our closing times. Okay, here is our next story. Customer gets mad at me for not knowing her shoe size. Woman comes in, picks out a shoe on display and says, I need this shoe in my size. Obviously I asked what size she needed. She seemed to think for a while, and then she said she doesn't know. There was some awkward silence between us for a few seconds, and then she says, so, get this in my size. I ask again what her size is, and then she gets angry. Shouldn't you know you work here? I let out a sound of confusion because I'm not trained to take one look at some feet and automatically know the shoe size. So I took a look at the slippers she was wearing and it stated UK 5. I took the display shoe back to the stock room as it had the code on it so I could find the right shoes. I found the shoes, and when I brought them to her, I was in the middle of taking out the shoes from the box for her to try on. Instead, she just grabs the display from my hand and angrily tries to shove her shoe on her foot. It obviously didn't fit because the display was a smaller size. Before I could even tell her the shoes in her size were in the box, she yelled at me and said that I didn't know how to do my job and that I had no clue what her shoe size was. Then when I explained to her the right shoes were in the box, she just stormed off and said she won't come back to the store. I sold shoes for a number of years, and the amount of people who didn't know their size or insisted that their size was completely different than what it actually was, there was just so many of them. It just astounds me. And then they got angry if you brought them a shoe that didn't fit. Okay, here is our next story. Today, karma gave me the best day in my retail life. So I work at a footwear shop in the UK. Today I was stood on my shop floor helping customers when a family came in. The teenage lad in the family sauntered around the shop in a way only a teenage lad can. He spotted what he clearly thought was a can of well-known brand of shoe protector spray on a shelf, and with a cocky look decided to give himself a free coating on his shoes. What the lad hadn't realised was that prior to him and his family walking in, the shop had been quiet and I'd been using that time to give some shelves a clean. Anywho, I watched this cocky little dude spray a liberal coat of protector all over his nice black Gucci trainers. In a moment of pure joy, my brain connects the dots and I walk over and let him know that he had just coated his shoes in furniture polish. After a moment of confusion, his smug look morphed into realization and what I can only describe as terror. He says nothing but slumps down on one of our seats to inspect his once black, now white Gucci trainers. Moral of the story, always read the label before sneaking some free product. You get what you deserve if you steal. Okay, here is our next story. Customer breaks his own windshield, but it's our fault. I worked at a housewares stores a few years ago and ran the stockroom staff. We sold some flat-packed furniture and had a backdoor pickup for customers to load items into their cars. The back-of-house staff had to help these customers, and though very hard-working, most were quite introverted compared to the front-of-house staff. One of my guys loaded a 10-foot rug into the back of a long SUV. There would have been plenty of room for it if the customer was willing to remove one of his kids' seats and fold the chair over, but he refused. He was shopping alone. My guy propped the rug on top of the seat, running through the middle of the car. He warned the customer it would not be safe to have a kid in the seat until the rug was unloaded. Before closing the trunk, my guy walked to the front of the car to see where the rug was in relation to the rearview mirror. He decided it was too close and turned around to move it slightly, but the impatient customer took that moment to slam the trunk shut. The rug pushed straight into the mirror, which punched through the windshield. The customer was furious, and I had to go out there and be shouted at. The customer was insisting my guy damaged his windshield, and I knew this guy wouldn't do that. So I pointed to our camera out there and threatened to bring up the tape. There was no tape. We would have had to get corporate involved, and I have never seen them take the store's side over a customer's. Suddenly, the customer admitted he slammed the trunk himself, but he still felt it was our fault the windshield was damaged. He threatened to sue the store for tricking him into smashing his own windshield. I had an awesome boss at the time who took our side to corporate. Pretty sure we lost the customer though. Those r/Tales from Retail, read by me, really resonated with me. I'm so happy I no longer work retail, and for all of you who are still working retail out there, hang in there, because the good days can outweigh the bad days sometimes. Please give this video a like, and please subscribe to my channel as well if you haven't already, because I make videos every day just for you. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day and stay healthy.